That little scrap off your plate feels harmless, just a tiny treat for the best beggar in the world. But here's the truth. Some of the most ordinary foods sitting in your kitchen right now can seriously hurt your dog, and a few can be deadly, sometimes in shockingly small amounts. Now, this isn't about scaring you or making you feel guilty. The honest reality is that most poisonings happen for one simple reason: people just don't know. So let's fix that today for good. I'm going to walk you through exactly which human foods to never share and why each one is dangerous, what to do in an emergency, and then the happy part at the end: the safe, healthy, delicious treats you absolutely can give your best friend. Let's get into it. So first, why is this even a thing? Why can foods that are perfectly fine for us be so dangerous for them? The answer is simple but important. Your dog may be family, but its body works very differently from yours. On the inside, a dog is not just a small human. Here's the key. A dog's body processes certain chemicals far more slowly than ours does. So a substance that you can break down and flush out in an hour or two might linger in your dog's system for a whole day, building up and up until it reaches a toxic level. On top of that, many dogs are far smaller than we are, so it takes a much smaller amount to do real harm. A piece of food that's nothing to a grown adult can be a serious dose to a 10-pound dog. So the rule of thumb for this whole video is beautifully simple and worth burning into your memory. Safe for me does not mean safe for my dog. Now, let's start at the very top with the most dangerous foods of all. The ones where the safe amount isn't a little, it's zero. These are the foods to treat as absolute hard no-s. Let's go one by one. First, chocolate and caffeine. You probably already know chocolate is bad, but here's exactly why. It contains two stimulants, theobromine and caffeine, and dogs simply cannot clear them from their bodies the way we can. In fact, a dog can take the better part of a day to break down theobromine that you'd process in just a couple of hours. So it builds up, overstimulating the heart and nervous system, and it can cause vomiting, a dangerously racing heart, tremors, and even seizures. And here's the key rule: the darker the chocolate, the more dangerous it is. Dark chocolate, baking chocolate, and cocoa powder are the very worst. Next, the one that catches almost everyone off guard: xylitol. This is the sneaky killer most people have never even heard of. It's an artificial sweetener, and watch out, because it's sometimes labeled as birch sugar, and it's hidden inside sugar-free gum, candies, baked goods, some toothpastes, and most dangerously of all, some brands of peanut butter. In a dog, even a tiny amount triggers a massive, sudden release of insulin, which crashes their blood sugar dangerously low, and it can also cause devastating liver failure. It is extremely toxic in very small amounts. So always check the label before you share anything sugar-free. Third, grapes and raisins. These ones look so harmless, and that's exactly what makes them terrifying. Grapes and raisins in any form, fresh or dried, can cause sudden, acute kidney failure in dogs. And here is the truly frightening part: even a single grape has triggered a severe reaction in some dogs. Researchers now believe the culprit is tartaric acid, which dogs are unable to process. There is no known safe amount, so keep grapes, raisins, and especially trail mix completely out of reach. And finally, in this top tier, onions, garlic, and chives. This whole family of vegetables, called the alliums, damages your dog's red blood cells and can lead to a dangerous anemia. And every single form counts: raw, cooked, and especially the dried powders hiding in gravies, sauces, baby food, and seasonings. Gram for gram, garlic is even more potent than onion. That right there is a big part of why just a little off my plate is far riskier than it sounds. And speaking of risks that hide in everyday meals, there are several more foods you need to know. Let's keep going because the list isn't finished. Macadamia nuts are surprisingly toxic to dogs. They can cause weakness, tremors, vomiting, and a spike in body temperature, usually showing up within about 12 hours. Alcohol is dangerous even in small amounts, affecting dogs fast and hard. And here's one most people would never guess. That danger includes raw bread dough. If a dog eats it, the yeast keeps fermenting in the stomach, producing alcohol, and on top of that, the dough literally rises and expands inside them, which can cause the stomach to painfully bloat and even twist, a true life-threatening emergency. Then there are fatty foods. Think bacon, fatty meat trimmings, drippings, and rich holiday leftovers. A big hit of fat can trigger pancreatitis, a painful and serious inflammation of the pancreas that often lands dogs in the hospital. Cooked bones are another hidden hazard people get wrong all the time. Unlike what cartoons taught us, cooked bones become brittle, and they splinter, which can choke your dog or damage its throat and insides. So skip those, along with other choking and blockage risks like whole corn cobs and avocado pits, which dogs swallow and then can't pass. And go easy on salt and heavily salted snacks like chips. None of these belong anywhere near the treat pile. But here's the thing. Even if you'd never hand your dog any of these directly, the real danger is sneakier than that. Before we get to what to do in an emergency, let me give you a few more that slip under almost everyone's radar, because knowing these can genuinely save a life. First, fruit pits and seeds. The flesh of many fruits is fine, but the pits of stone fruits like peaches, plums, cherries, and apricots are a double threat. They're a choking and blockage risk, and they actually contain compounds that release cyanide. The same goes for apple seeds. The apple itself is a wonderful treat, but you must always remove the core and seeds first. Next, moldy food and compost. That fuzzy old bread or the contents of your compost bin aren't just gross. Certain molds produce toxins that can cause rapid tremors and seizures in dogs, so keep trash and compost firmly sealed. Then there's dairy. It won't poison your dog, but most adult dogs are actually lactose intolerant. So milk, cheese, and ice cream can cause uncomfortable gas, diarrhea, and an upset stomach. A few other kitchen items to keep away include nutmeg, which is toxic in larger amounts, and any other source of caffeine. Coffee, coffee grounds, tea bags, and energy drinks are all surprisingly potent. The pattern you're seeing is clear. Dangers are everywhere in a normal kitchen. So now let's talk about the single biggest reason dogs actually get poisoned, and it's not what you'd think. Here's the part that catches even the most loving, careful owners completely off guard. Most of the time, a dog isn't poisoned by eating a whole bar of chocolate or a bowl of grapes off the floor. The danger is usually hidden inside the everyday foods we assume are perfectly fine. Think about it. That delicious homemade gravy or stuffing, often loaded with onion and garlic powder. Healthy, sugar-free peanut butter you were about to use to hide a pill. It might contain xylitol. A slice of leftover pizza, a bit of fried rice, a saucy meatball, they're full of ingredients on our no list. The family dinner table, especially during the holidays, is basically a minefield for a dog, which is exactly why veterinarians see a noticeable spike in poisoning cases around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So 2 simple habits will protect your dog more than almost anything else. 1. Read labels religiously on anything sugar-free. And 2. When guests come over, tell everyone not to feed the dog. Those well-meaning scraps slipped under the table by a kind relative are a leading cause of trouble. A quick, friendly, please don't feed her, some of our food can make her sick, can save you a devastating night. But what if, despite your best efforts, your dog does get into something? Here's exactly what to do. Okay, this is the most important section in the whole video, so please remember it. If your dog gets into something on this list, the single most important thing is this: act immediately and do not sit around waiting for symptoms to appear. This is the most common and most dangerous mistake. By the time a dog actually looks sick from many of these toxins, the internal damage may already be well underway. Minutes can matter. So here is your action plan. Call for expert help right away, your own veterinarian, the nearest emergency animal hospital, or a dedicated pet poison control hotline. And here's a tip. Save these 2 numbers in your phone right now, before you ever need them. In the U.S., the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center is at 888, 42640 for 35, and the Pet Poison Helpline is at 855 764 7661. They are open 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Do be aware a consultation fee may apply, but it is absolutely worth it. When you call, try to have 3 things ready: what your dog ate, roughly how much and when it happened, and it helps to know your dog's weight. And this part is critical. Do not try to make your dog vomit on your own unless a professional specifically tells you to, because with certain substances, forcing vomiting can actually cause far more harm. Fast, calm action saves lives, and remember, the experts on the other end of that line do exactly this, all day, every day. Now let's finally get to the good news. Because here's the joyful part: sharing food with your dog is one of life's simple pleasures, and you do not have to give it up. You just have to share smart. Plenty of human foods are perfectly safe and even healthy for dogs, as long as they're served plain, no seasoning, no butter, no salt, no sugar, and no sauces. So here are some wonderful, safe options to reach for. Crunchy carrots are fantastic, great for the teeth, and many dogs love them frozen. Blueberries are like little antioxidant treats. Apple slices are perfect, as long as you remove the core and all the seeds. Other great choices include banana, plain green beans, cucumber, plain cooked pumpkin, which is also gentle on the tummy, and plain cooked, lean chicken or turkey with no bones, skin, or seasoning. Plain cooked eggs are a great source of protein too, and a tiny bit of xylitol-free peanut butter is a classic, beloved favorite for hiding pills or stuffing a toy. On a hot day, many of these frozen make a brilliant cool treat. Just remember the golden rule of treats. Keep them to a small fraction of your dog's daily diet. A good guide is no more than about 1 in every 10 of their daily calories. And whenever you try a new food, start with a small amount to make sure it agrees with them. Share these, skip the rest, and everyone's happy and healthy. But let's make sure these dangers never get the chance to happen in the first place. A little prevention makes all of this almost effortless, so let's lock it in. Think like a curious, hungry dog for a moment and scan your home. Keep food well back from the edges of counters and tables. Many dogs are expert counter surfers, and a determined nose can reach more than you'd think. Get a secure, lidded trash can, or keep the bin behind a closed door, because the garbage is a treasure chest of dangers. Moldy food, bones, wrappers, and more. Here's one people forget constantly: handbags and coat pockets. Guests' bags very often contain sugar-free gum or mints loaded with xylitol, so always hang them up high, well out of a dog's reach. Make sure your whole household, kids included, knows the rules about not feeding the dog from the table. And a lovely simple trick: stick a short list of the most dangerous foods right on your fridge, so everyone, including visitors, can see it at a glance. One last note that goes beyond food. A lot of other household items are dangerous too, things like certain sweet-tasting chemicals such as antifreeze, which tragically attract dogs. That's a bigger topic for another day, but the same rule always applies. If you ever suspect your dog has eaten something toxic, treat it as an emergency and call for help. This whole video is for general awareness and isn't a substitute for your vet's advice. So let's wrap this up. So here's the bottom line. You do not have to feel guilty the next time those big, hopeful eyes are begging at the dinner table. You just have to know the difference, which foods are off limits and why, and which healthy, happy ones you can hand over with a completely clear conscience. Honestly, knowing this one list is one of the simplest, most powerful things you can ever do to keep your best friend safe, healthy, and by your side for a long, long time. Do me one favor. Save this video and share it with every single dog owner you love. You might just save a dog's life. If you want to understand and care for your dog better, all backed by real science, subscribe. Every week, we help you become the person your dog deserves. See you in the next one. This video is for general awareness and isn't a substitute for professional veterinary advice. If you think your dog has eaten something toxic, contact your vet or a pet poison control hotline immediately.